Good morning, afternoon, and evening to our listeners across the globe, and welcome to in12d. We're actually season 4 now, episode 34, and in the studio with me, Susie Vaughn from Ireland. Susie, welcome.
Hey, Ramsey, how are you? Yeah, we are
Awesome.
so excited to be kind of kicking off in January. We've had a lovely guest there last week, and we're closer to home with this week's guest. She's a lady that I've met a few times. She's living not too far, as we were just saying, just down the road. Well, it's about 20k probably, but we're both from West Cork. And I'm really excited to have her on the show today because, as you know, the title for today's show is Stillness in Motion. So we talk a lot about meditation, but we're going to go into the practices of Tai Chi and Qigong with our special guest, Carmel O'Connor. So you're very, very welcome, Carmel, and we're so happy to have you on in12d today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Susie and Ramsey. It's lovely to be here with you, and it's a great start to 2026 for me for doing this podcast.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I know you've got a lot to share. We were chatting yesterday, and your Carmel is the teacher and the lead, I suppose, with the Great Way Tai Chi Academy. It's here in Ireland. So we're going to discover more how you got there. So, as we know, our tagline here is ordinary people living extraordinary lives. So we'll get started, Carmel. I know you've been at this now for over 25 years. So, can you just bring us back 25 years ago to what brought you to these practices? Like, what was your life like when you were, let's say, or living the ordinary life?
Yeah, so if I go back then to about the year 2000, I could say that my life was very chaotic. And I often have a picture of myself back then as a chicken without a head. And we often describe in Ireland somebody who's a headless chicken. And I literally could feel myself in my very busy job, teaching, and all the other things going on in my life. And I had a lot of anxiety, and I found it very stressful. My job was so stressful, and I was trying to juggle so many things and all at once. And literally what happened one day, I didn't slow down, and so something else slowed me down. And what that was it was this time of the year in January. In fact, it could have been around today's date in January. And I was traveling along on a road going to school that was very frosty. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was rushing to get to school on time. I had a lot of things to sort out before the day even began at 9 o'clock. So I didn't notice that other people were traveling more slowly on the road, that the radio had a lot of warnings about very black ice on the roads. And I could have even passed other cars that were even, pulled in at the side of the road because of the ice. But I was so busy and my head was so busy, I didn't even see. And so my car toppled over, and it went a number of times over in a spun around on the road because I put my foot on the brake, and I ended up, luckily for me, it was the centre of Ireland is all bog, so it's very soft. And I ended upside down in a field. And the interesting thing was that I was able to immediately, as I was spinning over, I was able to focus back very quickly on my life. It wasn't a life review or anything, but I felt something on my shoulder, and it was like a presence on my shoulder, and it said, yeah, you need to slow down your life. And I remember thinking to myself, well, if I slow down my life, will I be alive at the end of this? Because I knew my car was going faster, and I was out, had lost control of the car. So it said, well, if you survive this, change your life. And so I was very lucky. I had a very soft landing, and I was able to get out the back window of the car. And I slowed my life down then. I thought I had been so lucky to survive that accident, because somebody in that very same spot 2 weeks before had been killed in the very same way. And so I took this very seriously, and I was then decided to look out for something that would help me transform my life. And those, the words of transform your life kept coming back to me. So I tried various courses, and even there was one course called Training for Transformation, and they helped. But it wasn't until we have these mind, body, spirit festivals in Ireland, and there was one in Dublin that following March, and there was a man called Jason Chan who was a Tai Chi master, and he had a stand at this big mind, body, spirit festival, and he wasn't at the stand when I called there, but his assistant was there. And when I asked her about this Tai Chi, she said that it transformed her life. And I knew when I looked at her and when she said those words, it was automatically, I knew this was the course for me. I just intuitively knew. And so I began my training, and I did the Tai Chi training, and I did all the other courses that Jason Chan was doing. And in fact, to this day, I still continue training with him. And I've worked alongside him as an assistant on his teacher training course for a number of years as well. So
wow. So you really found it. You found a way in. You found what you were, well, I'm glad you had a soft landing, first of all.
Yes.
But absolutely. But to hear that message loud and clear, and like you said, it was March then. Like, it didn't take you long to kind of go in search of the tools of your transformation, and to find them too. Like, it's amazing. It's there when you're ready, when you need it.
That's right. It was, I went on a search, and it didn't take long. And then I was so grateful. When I started the course, I was on a high for weeks. And I literally, there were times, because I knew this was what I had been looking for. I had tried so many things, and this was, I'd read so many books, and I'd been to so many seminars and courses. And I remember after my first weekend of the training course, I was sure I could walk on air. I felt my feet weren't touching the ground because I was so high. And that feeling lasted for a good while, but then my feet landed on the earth again. And I realized, oh, there's a lot. I need a lot of grounding. My mind is very busy. I'm very mixed up in my thoughts. My thoughts are quite negative. I didn't realize the power of our thoughts. And with the training, our training in Tai Chi, Qigong and meditation, the course was really very much a spiritual personal development course. Some Tai Chi training may be more martial arts based, but ours was purely like a spiritual. Our teacher, Jason Chan, is a spiritual teacher, and it's very much a spiritual transformation course. So that was exactly what I was looking for. And it has been so much, those tools, I've used them more and more. I'm more aware of that they're so important in the world we live in, being so chaotic, so busy, and everyone seems to be running and racing around trying to keep up with themselves. And I have found that these tools that I've learned, I now teach full-time Tai Chi, Qigong and meditation. And I know that the benefit that I've got from being able to slow down, from my mind not racing all the time, and from the level of anxiety that I had, which was absolutely huge, that I do not have that level of anxiety. I can live more just now. I don't have to worry about the future or dwell on the past. I can just be here now, and it's not perfect, but I'm just aware of there's this almost energy presence that's very benevolent and holding me because all the learning over all the years. So
Wow.
yeah.
You really
Amazing.
did move from, I've written down here in my notes, unconscious at 34. And
Yeah.
like you've really moved into living consciously and really making that commitment. Ramsey, did you want to come in there?
Well, actually, I just had a little question. I'm not too familiar about Tai Chi. So my understanding of it is just simple, easy movements. It's like karate, but you don't fight anybody kind of thing. Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, so it's like that. It's very simple, slow, meditative movement. But while you do the movement, so there's when you learn Tai Chi, you learn a particular form. So it's a sequence of movements, but you learn how to ground your feet into the earth. You learn how to breathe down into your like the abdomen area, and you learn to focus your mind. And to when you develop that, it's really that is so helpful because you're connecting your mind and your body. And mostly today, people aren't able to connect their mind and their body. They're generally in their mind in that space. So the movement then is uh, very slow, gentle movement, and it's very round movement. And there's it, you know, there's no real edges in it, and it's not putting pressure on your muscles like some exercise. It's relaxing your muscles, but it's very much focusing your mind. And the movement then becomes more energy can flow through your body when you're able to ground your feet. And that's a huge step forward. Once people practice Tai Chi a little bit, they find that they have what's underneath their feet, there's bubbling springs, and literally bubbling springs of energy that can bring the energy from the earth up through your feet, through the body. And you find that you have more energy. The more energy you have, then the more calm you can be, because you're not under pressure or under stress, because this energy gives you a space to allow you to that freedom of not feeling under pressure or stress. Even though a situation might be stressful, the minute you start to do movement of Tai Chi, it's very calming and relaxing. And I often use it for myself after a particularly busy day. It re-energizes me, and it's the most helpful tool apart from meditation that I find. So that's what Tai Chi movement is.
So just one more question. I do apologize for the lack of knowledge on the Tai Chi part, but you compared it to meditation. Are you focusing on your movement while you're doing it, or is it like I'm not sure how it actually works to slow down your thinking.
Yeah. So
I'm
how
not
is
just trying to correlate them together.
yeah.
Apologies. Go ahead.
So what would happen is when you learn the Tai Chi, you learn a particular form, and it may take you 15, 20 minutes to do that sequence of movements. And when you become familiar with them, you become so familiar with them that you don't focus on the movement itself at all. It's just like a flow of movement, and your mind becomes very still, and you don't actually when you become very good at it, you don't focus on the body at all. It's really, it's like a meditation then, because you're not so conscious of your body. You're aware of the movement, and you don't have to check what movements you're doing, because you're doing very gentle, slow movement, that you're not making big steps. It's small steps, but very solid and very strong steps. And so you know the movement so well, you become so familiar with it, you automatically move, and the energy automatically flows, and you come to a state where the mind is and the body connect so well. It's all one one energy moving, and you forget sometimes that you forget about the body. You just focus on this very still, gentle energy movement, and that's very calming and relaxing. So it's very interesting. It doesn't happen overnight, but as you're learning, you find yourself getting better and better. And it does help as well then when you come to doing meditation, because your mind is more focused and you now know how to focus, you can meditate much better.
I understand. I get it now.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And for it's not physically challenging per se.
No.
It's just a simple movement.
Yes. So it's not physically challenging. However, it strengthens more the internal organs of the body. So you're not focusing on somebody like who would go to the gym, building up your muscles. However, you strengthen up, it strengthens all the inner organs of the body. And when you strengthen the organs of the body, the blood flows more through the body. You have more vitality through the whole body. Your body is helped tremendously, so that your capacity and the energy you can store in the body, you actually have energy you can store in the body that you need, that if you need it, you have that energy. So it's very much like that powerful energy that you can have, and it's like you can tap into it when you need it. So anybody of any age can do the exercise, and if you've been ill or sick, it's a very gentle exercise to come to, and it's been medically proven, and there are lots of studies done on people who have different medical conditions, like they've had heart conditions, they've high blood pressure, they have low bone density, they have balance issues, they have Parkinson's, they have MS, they have arthritis, diabetes, all kinds of conditions like that. There are medical studies to prove that it works for all those conditions. And so the beauty of it is it's not taxing, but it's wonderfully strengthening and restores vitality to the body.
Beautiful. I know that when I started to learn yoga, Carmel, that my yoga teacher was also a Qigong teacher. So after she taught the yoga, she would do a Qigong class, and I stayed on one day to try it, and I really loved it. I was like, ooh, because it is different to yoga, and so I started doing the Qigong with her, and I have done Qigong, but not necessarily Tai Chi. So can you differentiate between the two practices? Do they cross over? Are they done absolutely separate to each other? How does a practitioner end up doing both?
Yes, so you can have separate classes, but normally what we do is we focus on the Qigong is really you may stand in one spot and you may do exercises to build up strength in the body. So the Qigong is to build up the strength in the body, to get the energy flowing through the body. So when you have the energy flowing through the body, it's at that stage that you might go to do the Tai Chi practice itself. So it's the Qigong then is normally standing in one spot and doing exercises, repeated movements that build up the energy flowing, the Qi energy, which is the vital energy of life, to flow through the body. Now, when it's in our classes, normally we might do 20-25 minutes of Qigong, and there are some wonderful exercises. Even somebody, say wheelchair users, can do the Qigong movement, so very much using their hands more. And after the Qigong, then when you have the energy flowing, we normally go straight into some Tai Chi for about 20-25 minutes. So the Tai Chi then is the flowing movement, having built up the strength and the Qi energy from the Qigong. So they complement each other very much. Some people like to teach Qigong on its own, but I like to combine the two because I find they complement each other very well. So using the strength of the Qigong to balance then the flowing movement of the Tai Chi.
Beautiful. So they are can be separate or they can be combined, like you said.
Yeah.
So your third practice that you mentioned when we started about what were these tools that really did transform your life was meditation. And I know all of our listeners here know how passionate I am about meditation, but there are so many different forms and types and ways to approach meditation. And even the movement, like this is called stillness in motion. So this is like a moving meditation. It's very mindful practice. So is it like that movement brings you into stillness? Is the meditation part of how you conclude your class or your session?
Yes, yeah, the meditation is such a favorite of mine. So at the end of the class, then I would normally do a meditation. And the meditation then, the type of meditation I do, especially if I'm doing a teacher training course, there's a particular way of using the Qi energy after the Tai Chi and Qigong practice. It's easier to sit still because you've been doing movement, and it's easier, the muscles are more relaxed, so it's easier to sit still. And then there's more energy flowing through the body, so you become more aware of energy flowing up and down the spine. And we actually physically, like we do in the Tai Chi, we face our palms holding the energy, so we can actually, after some time practicing Tai Chi and Qigong, you begin to be able to hold energy on your palms. And we hold that energy while doing the meditation. But and having said that, meditation practice, then I also meditate, just, sitting meditation and making sure my spine is straight. And I can meditate. I do other meditation just for the joy of sitting there. And because I've been doing Tai Chi and Qigong so long, and I've been practicing meditation, even to sit for a minute is really beneficial. So for me, the meditation on any training course that I do, or for me, meditation is overall would be my first love. Meditation, even a minute of meditation a day, and from then everything seems to flow more easily once I do that meditation. So the meditation, like you say, Susie, meditation is so beneficial, not to be missed. But in the morning and the evening, in my own daily practice, I do meditation morning and evening, and it doesn't matter the length of time, but it's just allowing that time to sit and be in stillness, and not afraid of the stillness, but just sit there in stillness.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Well, let me ask a question from my end. Because I have a hard time sitting, so I'm in constant movement. So I find meditation is maybe walking in the park or doing something. I just can't find myself sitting, and I feel like I don't do meditation. Based on what you just said, is that, which again, Susie, we've talked about this many times. I don't do meditation, but that is a meditation, even if just walking in the park or in the forest, on the beach, or whatever the place that is, as long as you immerse yourself within that space that you're in, rather than being somewhere in your mind. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, that makes good sense. And, I would certainly agree with that, because, we tend to think of meditation, as I was saying, just sitting quietly for a minute or so, but it's actually, you can meditate. You don't have to be sitting still. There's nobody says, meditation, it looks like it's sitting still. And for me, an important part of meditation is when you get up from the cushion, sitting still for a minute, that you carry that with you for the rest of the day, and that you're just, it's like you're surrendering yourself to this higher power, that sort of a wonderful presence that's looking after you. That's my sense of meditation. And that if you're walking in the park, or you're just allowing yourself, giving yourself this space, you're moving, you don't have to be sitting still, but that you're almost in this state of you're surrendering your mind to this higher power that can look after you, that you're not so focused on the little me running around busy doing things, but you're more focused on just allowing a sense of the spirit that looks after us all, that you're surrendering in a way to that. And that's as good a meditation as the person maybe sitting for hours, forcing themselves to sit for hours to try and gain something. When you can easily just walk and surrender your mind to this wonderful spirit. And it's like I often just ask for help, surrender. I don't know. I don't really have any answers, but just allow this presence of the energy presence that looks after us all to just guide me along.
I think that's an interesting maybe segue to where I was thinking of going next with our chat, in terms of like, you weren't doing meditation, you weren't doing any practices. You were like the headless chicken that you described, back when you were a teacher. And but in that moment, like of that impact, you sensed a presence in your midst in that car with you, coming over your shoulder, in your ear, however you experienced it, like, and very clear instructions, like, this is where you have to go next, which I love how you just absolutely got the message and responded immediately. So I think that's something I always love to clarify, that's ever present witnessing awareness is there regardless of if you're doing any of these practices or not, and it's a sense of like realization, I think, in a time when we think got ultimately super chaotic, that something is trying to get our attention and trying to help us along our path. So I just was curious, Carmel, for you, so you listened, you started doing your practices, which really built up this kind of love of meditation and so on. Have you continued to follow that intuitive guidance? Does it come in regularly? Are you in an exchange with that guidance? Would you be willing to share a bit more about that, if you don't mind?
Yeah, certainly. That's so interesting because, when I was younger, I used to often sense that there was somebody guiding me, or a presence, like maybe hinting to me, to go this way or do this in my life. And I sort of dismissed it because I was maybe a bit frightened that there was something always ready to help me, and almost like a guardian angel. But I didn't want to pay too much heed to it because I figured, I was in control and I'd sort it out myself. And then really, once that happened, and once I had that car accident, I remember the feeling of that I was so well looked after that particular day. And from then on, I became much more aware of if I calm myself, and if I'm able to be more aware of, there is a greater presence. And I felt it many times, but not for a long length of time. But I remember after that, I went on a retreat to Scotland, to a place called Holy Isle, and it was actually a Buddhist retreat center. And I spent a week there doing a retreat with our teacher, Jason Chan, and we did, lots of meditations and that. And one night, I remember going to bed, and it was at bedtime then I'd really feel more relaxed. And my mind was very calm. I was after doing a few days of a retreat. And I remember this feeling coming over me of what I now know is like presence, or unconditional love is another way of putting it. And it was so different to anything I'd ever experienced in my life. It was a presence that physically came through my body, and it was a presence that I knew it couldn't be human, because I felt this non-judgmental presence, and it wasn't looking for anything in return. It was what I describe as, suppose, from my belief system, as God. That was, I knew how to describe it as God, but you can use presence, or you can use spirit energy, you can use any word, but it just came through my whole body. And I remember this feeling of like like an elixir through the whole body. And I thought, my goodness, I said, I must be enlightened. I must have be enlightened. And I fell asleep, and I woke up the next morning, and I thought that was a short enlightenment, that it wasn't, it had disappeared. And I fell asleep. It was so lovely. I just fell asleep. And then I thought, you know, it was so wonderful. I knew then that I understood that keep going, keep doing what I'm doing. And even if these experiences, so they've come to me at various stages, like I feel a presence, and I sense a presence. And I know the more I get out of the way, like this personality self. So this personality self, when this personality self gets out of the way, some great loving presence is always there. And that's the difficulty, is getting the personality self, you know, that functions in this world, of course, is very necessary as well. But when that can get out of the way, this presence can come through, that's just kind, loving, and not asking anything. But in that presence, I just feel very well, and I feel I'm just there. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to try. I'm just very, I feel just so happy that, you know, it's always there. And I know that's the true self of, not me, the personality self, but it's the true self of all of us. We're all just this one spirit. And so that really has helped me. And I suppose, Susie, it brings to mind, you know, the dream that I had.
Yes.
So this dream, because I know I had spoken to Susie about, she was telling me about, you know, the dream yoga, and I practiced before I went to bed, just asking to be aware of and more conscious in my dreams. And then not long after that, that was actually before Christmas, I had a dream of, it was, I was back in my home place, back in Tipperary, when I was younger, and we had a big sitting room window, and I was looking out through the sitting room window, and in my dream I saw two very big moose, and in the dream the words came to me that they're not reindeer, they're moose, and they were massive, two big massive animals with like they had like antlers, and they had very big eyes, but they were very big, and they were looking at me through the window. So I was looking out at them, and they were looking in at me, and the moose were just looking at me very kindly, but I could feel that they were so real, but I had to come out the door to meet them. And I didn't go out the door, I stayed sitting in the sitting room. And then when I woke up the next morning, the awareness came to me that the moose were there to telling me that I need to come out from looking behind a window, and I need to step into, I need to step out more. I need to step into, embody the strength of the moose, and they seem to be very alert and strong, and I need to embody that, and I need to not be looking out, and not be this small personality self anymore, and play big now. Now's the time to play big like the moose, and so not play small anymore. And a few nights after that, I had another experience where I had to get up out of bed because my I could feel in my stomach area, it was like this energy coming up through my stomach, and the energy was like letting me know that I have to stop denying the spirit, and stop restricting yourself, and stop confining yourself, because we're much more than our bodies. We're spirit, and the energy is trying to come through you, but you're trying to stop it. So stop that. And so I understood, I got the message. And
loud and clear. Wow.
Yeah, loud and clear. So that's really, it's following that intuition much more, and following the guidance, and not being afraid to take a risk, fail. I don't care if I fail. I'll give my utmost, because the world needs all of us to step forward now into this new consciousness, because we'll be left behind otherwise, and to use our huge, massive energy to transform the world, because the world needs that. And we need people like yourself and Ramsey doing your podcasts to really make a difference, that more people can come on board, and together, we're all one at the end of the day, and we can make a difference.
Yeah, I always say we transform the world by transforming ourselves, and we have to really start with the one, with the individual. But then once we learn the tools, it's really imperative to go out and share about them, share the stories, share the practices, share what helped you. You know what I mean? It's not we're not on a kind of a singular trajectory here. We're all in it together. Like, so I love where it's taken you to, though, Carmel, because we were talking before we came on live about your teacher training, and it sounds like it's really, a thorough, like it's not like a 12-week course and you're done. It's the full 3 years. It's a commitment, but ultimately it's the route to full transformation. I would imagine anybody coming into that training, with or without experience, will see a massive shift in their life before, during, and I'm guessing after, when they come out the other side. So it's great that you're doing the Great Way Tai Chi Academy in Ireland. Like, so is there a lot of demand now in Ireland for Tai Chi? Do you notice?
Yeah, there is. It's a huge change now in the last number of years, but even very much lately, there's a lot more on YouTube about Tai Chi and how Tai Chi can really help you, and there are lots of people on YouTube doing Tai Chi walking and so on. So it's raised the awareness of Tai Chi greatly. And I was just on the phone earlier to somebody in Carlow, and which is not all up the road again, not far from where we are in Cork. And she was talking about so many people coming to her classes, and that there are so many people, like 30-something people in a class this morning. And I thought that's huge, that to find a space big enough to hold the people that are interested, because people can do Tai Chi more easily than other exercises, and because the awareness of the benefits of Tai Chi is much more there now. And even for the teacher training, people are very interested in the teacher training. It's not, it's 1 weekend a month for a year, and for 2 years and 3 years, but there's a process involved, and you don't transform overnight in a matter of days or weeks. And however, as the process goes on, the other people on the course that are doing the course, it's a great help, because they assist each other and help each other as they're on a learning curve. And the energy of the Tai Chi, has an energy of its own, and it brings people forward. And so it's really a good time to be doing Tai Chi in Ireland now, or anywhere in the world, because if you do the training in Ireland, you can take it anywhere in the world with you, and you can practice it. You don't need a huge space to practice. You can practice it in a hotel room, or you can be out in a park practicing. And if the weather is good, or by the sea, I often practice here by the sea because I live very close to the sea, and
Lovely.
it's very energizing. And so the whole Tai Chi area has the whole Tai Chi world has really taken off lately, so which is very lucky for us, because when we started doing Tai Chi and training years ago, people didn't even know how to pronounce the word
Yes.
Tai Chi. And they used to call it all kinds of Shai Chi and everything. But now it's much more, people are much more aware of it, which is great.
I know, like in terms of the origins, like it's a very ancient practice with the origins in China, and we were talking about that. Like I was in China, I don't know how long ago it was now, probably 15 years ago or something. But I remember being really struck by, in Beijing, in the parks, people, mainly older people, early in the morning, out all doing like thousands, like not just a handful, like they were in every corner. It is massive there, but there was this sense of contentment on their faces. Like this was just going for, as if they were going for their morning stroll. They were all in the park. They'd hang up their handbags. The park was kind of fitted out with all these speakers playing beautiful kind of, Chinese kind of music, I guess, and they were doing their practices in smaller groups. Different groups were doing different practices, but ultimately it was just like cultivating the chi for the day. And later in the evening, when we'd go around, there was a lot of people that would meet outside, and they would do kind of dancing or ballroom dancing or something like that. They had different kind of practices, so there was a real sense of the community coming together through the practice, and then the kind of contentment from the practice just was really kind of holding up that community as well. Like, so I know when I started learning about qigong, I haven't studied in great detail, but I'm aware that there is like health qigong and qigong hospitals where they're literally using that qi and awareness of qi to heal the body, and to kind of come through, like you mentioned earlier, things like Parkinson's, arthritis, psychiatric issues. Would you expand a bit more on that? Because I think that's really interesting that we're getting to access that now.
Yes, so I actually have a friend of mine who went to one of those Qigong, the hospitals in China, and she spent a number of weeks there with her husband, and they had a wonderful experience of how the Qigong was used in relation to patient care before and during even surgery and after surgery, and the amazing healing that was taking place by patients in the hospitals simply doing Qigong exercises. And so I've also noticed from my own teaching of classes of Tai Chi and Qigong, so I've worked with people in all kinds of settings. So I've worked with people who have arthritis, the Irish Arthritis Foundation, and I've worked with people, wheelchair users, and I've noticed the benefit to them and how their movement improved and how much movement they could do simply by doing, even if they're sitting on a chair and doing the movement, and how much the circulation of the energy through the body it can come through so much. And also for people who have, we have practitioners who have MS, multiple sclerosis, and we also have practitioners who have Parkinson's disease, and they find they've great benefit from doing the practice. So it's having some kind of condition doesn't stop you from doing the movement, but it really, really helps with feeling much better, having more energy, and recuperating after time when they've had to rest because of their illness. And also from my work in psychiatric community care hospital settings, I noticed working with patients over time and over a number of classes how people seemed to get more clarity and seem to be able to do the movement much better once you keep persisting doing the exercise and the movement with them. And the benefit to people has been tremendous, really, really tremendous. So knowing all that benefit.
Yeah. Sorry, finish your sentence.
Yeah,
I didn't
just knowing all that benefit. It's like that. It's for people recovering from illnesses that you can do it so easily, and once you can access a class, and even after a number of classes, people do begin to notice the change, and that it's so gentle as well, but so effective. So that's the beauty of it, and you don't need any special equipment, and you don't need much space. And
I think a point that I think is really worth kind of going into as well is what is it's not just the movement per se. It's this developing awareness of the body. And earlier on you described it as you're working with your internal organs. You're not building muscle. It's not about strength building or even huge flexibility like yoga would be. It's inner awareness of the strength and the function within the organs and the systems of the body. And like I loved when you were telling me that, like, in China, places where it's practiced throughout life, that there's this kind of sense of just being able to tune in and know what's going on with yourself, not needing diagnostic tools or scans or that subtle knowing. And like, do you see that with your own classes?
Yes,
or with your
I
own
do. I see some people who have say done teacher training, and they're doing Tai Chi for a number of years. So I've noticed that they would say, "Oh, I can feel a spaciousness in the internal body. So I can feel that the organs of my body seem to have more space." Or I know some people in the class who have been practicing for many years who can scan their bodies. So just using the palms of their hands as they go down through the body, they can feel how their liver is, or how their heart is, or how their lungs are, or they can put their hands to the back of the kidneys and know how their kidneys are. So they become much more aware of the internal organs. And of course, we focus so much on the external body, but the internal body is so important as well, and its functions. And so we become aware of even for myself, I have that sense of now much more awareness of if there is something internally in the body, I can sense it. Whereas before, I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have even had a sense, where are the lungs, or where are the kidneys, or where is the stomach, and where is the spleen. And now I'm much more aware of that. And that's from people describing how they can really sense the inner body. And so then I think that spaciousness as well, once people begin to feel more spaciousness inside the body, then that opens up, it's a spaciousness overall in the person, because usually we feel so tight in our body and so sort of hemmed into the body. But when the chi energy moves through the body and we feel more spacious, it opens up ourselves, we feel much greater than, we feel this energetic body which extends outside the body, and we feel a greater sense of well-being because we're not tied into a tight space of the skin tying us into a physical body. We feel the extension of the body, you know, the emotional and mental body outside of the physical body itself. So we become much more aware of we're hugely energetic beings beyond the physical body. So we recognize more how much of an effect we can have, in that the body isn't just the physical body, there's much more to it, and we become more aware of energy and how effective calm, clear energy can be, as opposed to how, you know, how detrimental to our health, very mixed up, chaotic energy, and that we not alone affect ourselves but everybody around us. So when we walk into a room, we can have a very beneficial effect when our bodies are calm.
Yeah.
And as opposed to somebody who walks into a room who's full of sort of mixed thoughts and who's carrying angry energy. So we become more aware of.
Yeah, you can.
Yes.
I suppose the more sensitive you become, the more you can see. But I guess we can all influence the energy of a room anyway with our own. Like,
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
I know that you were telling me some of the case studies that you had with your own one-to-one students and people you've worked with. I remember you mentioned a Tai Chi student whose life absolutely changed again now from that busy, chaotic sort of,
Yes.
you know, high pressured, you know, corporate job. Would you
That's
like to share a bit of that? Because
Yeah.
people
she.
don't have to give up their jobs to do this. Like,
That's right.
you can do it side by side.
Exactly, yeah. So this student had a very busy job, and it was very, very stressful. And she was at a point of just being, not knowing what she could do or where she could go or how she might manage, because it was really weighing her down, and her workload was huge. So she embarked on the Tai Chi training course, and she found that, of course, the benefit straight away, because she could feel when she was doing the training, you know, the slowing, the movement of the Tai Chi, the benefit of doing the Qigong, the meditation, meeting other like-minded people who are also wanting to change their lives and who also wanted to improve the quality of their lives. So she, after a year or two, she decided that she was getting on very well, but she decided to take a break from the training because her work became very busy again. And then she was encouraged to come back again to the training, which she did. And she continued on, and she decided to train to be a counsellor. And she trained as a counsellor, psychotherapy, and she did really well in the training. And she said she now works with other people doing psychotherapy and helping them. And she uses the Tai Chi as a tool for herself, and she can also use that with others and with some of her clients as well. She recommends that they do Tai Chi, and she can even do some with them as part of the training and treatment. And she said that this has really transformed her life, and that the fact that where she came from what she felt was rock bottom, to now being able to assist other people who maybe are coming to her in the state that she was in before she started. And she says the joy of being able to do that she can share all that with others.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I just want to give Ramsey a chance to come in there, because I did mute him because of the back feed. Sorry, Ramsey.
All good. Well, I'm just fascinated by the stories that you just brought up, which are amazing. And in my mind, I was thinking about, because I'm a Reiki master, so it feels like doing these exercises is like having a constant person doing Reiki on you, releasing any held back emotional energies that are stuck in the body somewhere on a constant basis. But you don't need actually to have someone running after you, going with their hands and doing stuff. It's actually being done automatically, not only during the time that you're doing the exercise, but throughout the day. It's like you're carrying that healing process with you to sit and make sure that everything in the body is functioning properly.
Yeah. So that's very interesting, Ramsey, because that's my experience. And, for a good while, I felt, could it actually be possible that I feel this energy through my body and that I'm actually feeling it, and no matter what I do, I can still feel it. And then I took, it's almost now like I take it for granted, but I don't take it for granted. I'm so glad of it that when I tune in at all, I can just feel it, this energy moving through the body. And if there was something particularly that came to mind that was bothering me, I just do some of the Tai Chi movement. It may take 20 minutes, but it seems to clear everything. I get greater clarity. So that sense of feeling well and feeling energy moving through the body gives me great confidence that that I didn't have before. I was always second guessing myself. I was never sure of. Now I feel I have this confidence that I'm well rooted, well connected to the earth. I'm very grounded, and I'm much more effective because I just feel well, and I feel that because I feel well, I have this energy that I'm able to assist other people so that they can feel that too. So that's the aim of the teacher training course that I'm doing at the end of January, is that other people will benefit likewise, and that they in turn will be able to spread the Tai Chi around the Cork area, the Munster area, around Ireland, wherever, if they choose to go abroad either, that they can use that energy and use the Tai Chi in that way. So yeah, it's great when one can do all that for oneself and you don't have to rely on anybody else. So it's that self-healing in a way, and with I suppose there's a certain amount of discipline and practice, but it's not a discipline after a while. When you have the benefits, you recognize its value, and so then you're going to keep practicing because you can feel the benefits, and all through the day and at night as well.
So the benefits are immediate. Sorry, Ramsey, go ahead.
No. I was going to say it's just like brushing your teeth. The benefits are there. You don't think about them. You just do it.
Yeah,
and
you
it
just
becomes
do it.
part of your daily ritual.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I did put this up a couple of times, but if somebody is interested, you can get in contact with Carmel on the Great Way Tai Chi Academy at gmail.com, or the website is carmeloconnor.com. CarmelOconnor. So hopefully people will connect, because this is like fascinating how a small little movement in a day could change your life forever.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. It's so true. Like, it's so accessible. You don't need anything, just a willingness and access, I guess, to a teacher. But even with the online teachings, I know when I was studying, when I had finished my classes way back when, I bought a book, and then my husband bought, like, it was a DVD at the time. And we used to just run that DVD. We used to do it out in the garden. And, it was something that we both did a lot, like, and we really loved it. So, I think it's like you said, you learn something like that, you have it for the rest of your life. So
Yeah.
if all the other kids, that are very stressed out, there's an awful lot of stress in the world. Everything's going a bit too fast for human beings, I reckon. We're trying to slow them all down. This is
Mm.
definitely a beautiful, beautiful way to do that,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. It's a great way to slow down. And, as my teacher always said, to rush is a weakness. So,
Mm.
so slow down. Yeah, slow down.
That's a good place to end. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Carmel. It's been a
Yeah,
joy having you here. Thank you.
yeah. Thanks,
Thank you.
Susan. Thanks, Ramsey, very much. And it was lovely to talk to you as well.
And
Thank
to
you.
our listener, we'll see you next week, hopefully. Stay tuned. Check out our YouTube channel, in12d. Like and subscribe, and this way you'll know when we're on live next. Thank you.
Thank you.